Following the meeting, if you have any questions about today's free training or any other coaching programs, please email us at fasttrack@kw.com, FASTTRACK@kw.com. It's all for me. Dale, take it away.
Well, thanks, Graham. He is awesome. He's always right there supporting us and making sure that I'm on time. So welcome, everybody. What a great group. We have lots of you today. I am so thrilled. I guess we're in that market where we're looking at what we can do to overcome some of these obstacles and make things positive. So I'm looking forward to today, very excited about it. I've changed it about 3 or 4 times to fit the market in the past 3 days. So it should be hopefully some good information for you. I love participation. And if you want to drop it in the chat box or just shout out when we're doing it, that's fine too if there's a question. Otherwise, we'll have some Q&A at the end, and I'll stop periodically in between times also to give you an opportunity if there's questions. We have an hour today. I'd like to take about 40 minutes or so of it just to run through some slides and presentations, and then we can review those. You will have a copy of the slide presentation sent to you after today's webinar, and you will also have a number of other documents that I'm going to talk about today, but aren't included necessarily because they were too wordy for the PowerPoint presentation. Excuse me. So also I want to thank my right arm and my left arm, Tris Fabiliar, and he is my virtual assistant who runs everything, including me. So Tris, thanks for being on board and supporting us today. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Dale Donovan B, and I am a MAPS coach. I am a fast track group coach. I'm a director with KW Commercial since 2010. I have been in the industry for over 30 years, and I have been an entrepreneur with my own company, DLD Commercial Realty, and I have been a principal and shareholder with Colliers and also with NAI Global. So I have an entrepreneurial background, and I'm not a recovering entrepreneur. I'm still an entrepreneur. And but I've also been a corporate puppy. So I tend to have some ideas and the inspirations from being in the corporate world as well as being in the entrepreneurial world. So I think KW Commercial is the best match of entrepreneurial spirit and corporate support there is in the industry. And I've had a lot of exposure to it. So I'm looking forward to jumping right in today. We've got a lot of materials to go through. So I'll take a break every now and then and breathe. So if you have some questions or whatever, I'm totally open to that. I love participation, but we will have Q&A at the end. First slide, please. Just finding the motivated. Okay, overcoming obstacles, creating urgency. All of those things fit in together in our market today. We know that we're working with buyers and tenants and sellers, and all of those have their own obstacles, they have their own challenges, and they have some solutions. So they may not be what the solutions were before, but we're coming up with new solutions and being creative all the time. Next slide, please, Tris. As we're working with our clients, we understand that we generally have 2 types of clients. We have the clients that are looking at the market and going in and out of it, and making sure they can sell at the right price and buy at the right price, and that they ride the market on a daily basis and watch it and do things that are, that they believe is going to be the right decision at the right time on the right property for buying and selling. Then we also have the other type of buyer and seller, and they are the ones that believe that timing will find them. They stay in the market for the long term, and they believe that timing will find them, and it generally does. Statistics prove that this is the best approach, the long-term approach and staying in the market. I know we have obstacles today, and we're going to talk about some of those. But we believe that there are ways around them, and that there are solutions to some of the challenges that we have today. As we know, commercial real estate is a long game. And I'm going to be saying that quite a few times today, because that is going to be probably what is going to be driving us in understanding what we need to do with our clients. So look for problems to solve. A lot of times we go into this and we say, well, what do I say to the client? How do I speak to them? And what, I got to know this and I got to know that. And I have to be on top of all of these things. If you go into the conversation in authenticity, and you go in, and I know you hear this word all the time, or these words, go into it with curiosity. If you're really genuinely concerned about helping the other side, which is your client, your prospect, whether it's buyer, seller, or tenant, you will be able to find ways, because you'll understand what their problems are, and you'll be able to understand what their needs are, and you'll be able to find the opportunities there. If they're not motivated, if there aren't reasons, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as well, then I have an expression for that you'll hear later on. You will find the motivated if you do some of these things. If you're always looking for opportunity, talk to everybody. Tell everybody that you know that you're in commercial real estate, that you're looking for this, or you're wanting to find that, or you've got clients that need this kind of property. And talk about what you're doing. Don't ask them for business. Tell them what you're doing and what your other clients and prospects are. That way you're pitching them, but you're not pitching them directly with they can see a yes or a no to think, oh my gosh, here goes another broker. They're going to try to sell me something or try to get me to list my property or whatever. So you want to take them off that right off the bat. So just let them know that you're looking for opportunities of people that they may know that may have these opportunities, or properties that they may be aware of. This is a time where we have to really take massive action. The things that we did last year still work. We just have to do more of it. To find the motivated, you have to be motivated. You've got to really want to get into this business. If you're doing the same business the way you did last year, you'll probably do half the amount or less of GCI. So you really have to be pushing this year. Time block and protect it. We all know what that means. When you're going after these new clients and you're going after properties and you're going after research, you've got to protect your time. A lot of us now there's three ways of doing business. You have being responsive to phone calls that come in, emails that come in, and all of that. Then you have the middle of the road, where you're kind of working with people, but you're active, but everything is good. You're kind of responding to the people that are coming in and hand it to you. And then we have the proactive. And I don't need to tell you which ones are going to be the most successful, right? We all know that. Next slide, please, Tris. Avoid the reluctant and work with the urgent. This is the time where it's not for us to take all of this time to try to convince somebody to sell their property, to buy a property, to invest in a property. Those things are past us right now. We have to find those that are in the market and that want to be either buying or selling or investing. And there have to be reasons for it. So you don't have the time to try to convince them. Naturally, we have to educate. We have to be knowledgeable about our market, extremely knowledgeable about our market. We have to be able to provide accurate data to them, to our prospects and our clients, so that we can make the determination, and so can they, whether they're going to fit into this market. We used to say ready, willing, and able. That was the three nomenclatures that we used for, how do we pick a client? Ready, willing, and able. Okay, great. That's not so much anymore. You can have somebody ready, willing, and able, but there's more required in today's market. We all know what's happened. It's called expectations. They may be ready, they may be willing, and they may be able, but their expectations don't meet the market, whether it's a seller putting a price too high, or whether it's a buyer trying to buy too low, or whether it's an investor looking at interest rates going up and, and the cap rates going down. So, we're looking at all of those aspects of it. I believe the most critical of the ready, willing, and able and expectations is expectations. You can have all of the other components, but without the expectations meeting the market, it's time to move on. Because if your client doesn't, you don't have time to waste. Because we're not miracle workers. So if they have unrealistic expectations, don't waste your time thinking that you are going to be the miracle worker. And this is what I call go ugly early. It's called the goo factor. Go ugly early means give me a number of different things, but in this particular case, you need to screen out the clients that don't have the expectations that meet the market, because you're just going to be wasting your time. It's trying to push mud uphill. So I cleaned that up. So what we're looking to now is really find out what's going on. What are the strategies that we can use for our prospects and our clients to make sure that we're going to be able to meet these challenges and obstacles? We got to find out why they're doing this. Really, we hear about this big why. Why are we in commercial real estate? But why is the client, why is the prospect doing this? Do they have to move? Do they have an illness in the family? The reason for selling, are they just tired of the business? Are they retiring? Are they getting older? Does, relocation, are they moving in a different state? All of these things, it's called a need. If you've got to try to convince somebody to buy or sell, then you need to move on. Don't waste your time. This is not the market to do that. Using good research prevents obstacles. Boy, is this right. Find out what the issues are first. That's one of the things that that I can definitely use, that I've used in my past and been successful with it, is I do the due diligence. If I'm listing the property, I do the due diligence for it as if I were the buyer. And I find all of the red flags first for my seller, so that I make sure that I've been able to identify the problems and that I can work with a potential buyer and their broker so that we can have some good conversations and negotiations, and that working in, in the reality. Because if we present the issues and the challenges and the red flags up front, they're going to start to trust us. They may not like it, and we may not like it. Go ugly early again. Put all the dirty laundry out there on the table that you can solve. I mean, naturally, we have to disclose things that are legally required of us to do that. But I'm talking about, some zoning issues or things that has to do with, on and off sites, or, can they get the type of use in this property that they need? Can they get permits to expand? All of those things. And I've got an actual list that we're going to drop a link for that into the chat box, so that you can have that and kind of take a look at it. And these are some of the things that you can look for in providing information about your property for your seller and also for the buyer prior to any kind of deal coming down the pike. You've got to know what the obstacles are, where the roadblocks are, and where you might be delayed before the offer is made. Does that make sense? I mean, how many of us have gotten down the road a piece and found out that we had a deal or a transaction that they said, oh yeah, we had the money, but oh yeah, we didn't have all of it, or we didn't have the money that we needed for the build out, or we this or that or the other. So it's like, you have to make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed in this market particularly. You don't want to get down to spending months and months and months of work and find out that there was an issue that you could have solved early on, or at least identified it. And if there was a solution, you could have worked it out. And if there wasn't a solution, you would have been aware of it, rather than getting 6 months down the road and then getting, smacked in the head with a sledgehammer because you couldn't get the deal done. Those hurt really bad. It hurts in the beginning because you think you've got a good deal in a transaction, but what really hurts is you get down there and you've done all this work and all this effort, and then slam, you can't get it done. Finding out a lot of these things has to do with where you go to find your resources. Government officials have been, that's the way I started out of the industry. I did not know anything. So I was in South Florida. I went to every planning and zoning department, municipality, city, and county in Southeast Florida, in 3 counties, Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County. There were a lot of them. And I walked in and I said, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. I know builders. I know developers. I would love to be able to be involved in the growth of your city. Tell me what you want where, and I'll be a matchmaker for you. I will go find it. And they looked at me like I was an alien because they'd never had anybody say that before. And that's how I started my business. If you talk to them, if you talk to the government officials without demanding, respectfully, and go in there and provide and let them know that you're really there. You want to help grow the city. You want to help grow the community. You want to help grow this particular area of the city that you're in, so that there is this growth opportunity and that the economics of the area are going to be, successful in the future. So working with your government officials, and do it sooner rather than later. Get to know them now. If you haven't gotten to know them, or if you've got a new property in a new municipality or county, go after them. Go talk to them. Tell them what you're doing. And if you don't ask them for anything up front, but you give them the opportunity to perhaps do something that's a little bit different. I'm not going to cram this down your throat. I'm not, I know how some of the other brokers are, and they're trying to get this in here and the zoning doesn't match and all that. That's not what I want to do, Mr. Governor, Miss Government Official. What I want to do is I want to be your matchmaker. You tell me what you want what you want where, and I'm going to make it possible, because I'm going to find who you need for this property. Introduce me to the owners. Tell me who they are. I'll make it work. Another way to find opportunities and reaching past the obstacles, because they're going to know who is going to be in a position. They're going to say, oh, don't talk to Joe Denham, because he's been on that property for 40 years and I don't think he's ever going to give up. So, so they can also give you a lot of advice of what properties to go for and what not to. Your economic development councils. How many of you, just in the chat box, how many of you, just put a yes or no in the chat box, have worked with your economic development council? I'm curious. Oh, we got a lot of yeses. Awesome. We got a couple no's, not yet. I like that one, not yet. Okay. So we've got some opportunities in here. Thank you for the response there. Make sure that you're working with your economic development council. They are the best. They're not going to bring you deals necessarily. They're not going to bring you the deals and transactions, but what they are going to do is they're going to provide you with the market knowledge and the information about where the growth is that you can deliver as a value proposition to prospects and to clients. They also will deliver marketing materials that you can use in your presentations to either buyers or to sellers and to tenants. So utilize this economic development. If you're going to the Economic Development Council, reach out to the development officer or reach out to the membership officer, or who's the head of membership, because those are the two people that know everybody that's in that particular locale. So they're always in business development as well. So go for your business development and your membership people in the Economic Development Councils. This is driving for dollars or walk the park. How many of you have heard of this? We know walk the park. We hear this in the residential side of this, and we go, oh, that's too residential for us. We're not going to do that. We're commercial brokers. We don't have to do that stuff. Well, guess what? It works. If you get into an industrial park, into an office building, into, a medical healthcare community of individual doctors that own these condos and these kinds of things, there's some great opportunities in there. I have never gone out on a driving tour that has not been successful for me in some way, where my blinders came off and I saw something that I have driven past for 5 years, and all of a sudden I see something new, or it's in a new area, in a new market, and I went out for one purpose and I see something else. So the other thing that's really good about driving for dollars and walking the park is to get you out of the damn office. You got to get out once in a while, because sometimes you get cloistered down in that office at that desk and at that computer, and that's where you can do your research there, but that's not where you're going to make your connections for your business. That's not where the opportunities are going to be. And your brain sometimes gets fogged up with that, people walking in and getting distracted and all that. If you're out in the car, you're driving. Yes, you can take phone calls, or yes, you can make phone calls, but you're driving in the area and things will come to you. You'll see an opportunity and you'll get more creative by being out in the community that you're working in, where the community real estate is, than by sitting in your office and wondering where am I going to get the leads. Tell me what your thoughts might be on that. Who does walk the park or driving the dollars that has been successful? Give me a success story. I know we have to have at least one success story. You went out for a drive and what happened? You never have heard of walk drive. Well, now you have. This is where you make the contacts. You may not come back with all of the leads in the world, but I'll tell you what, it will give you a different perspective on what you're doing, what the market is, and it will give you the real inside track of what's going on out there. When you're walking through a shopping center, you're going into an office building, you're walking through an industrial park and talking to the owners and the tenants, you will find out what's going on in that market, and you're visible. If people don't see you, they don't know how to be doing business. That's also a good point. Observing when a property has been listed too long with another realtor and no progression, then you know your next will be more successful. You can't go after them just yet, but you can sit and wait. We can not necessarily solicit, but we can sure make ourselves visible in the market. The other one is make yourself known to all these professionals. Anything that has to do with commercial real estate. Attorneys, engineers, architects, planners, general contractors, surveyors, furniture companies, flooring companies, property managers, people that are taking care of the cleaning companies. These are all people that know all of the other things that are going on. They know who's moving, who's coming in, who's having difficulties, who's being successful, who's expanding, who's contracting. And other commercial real estate brokers, they may not be as open with some of the information that you have, but they sure are great knowledge. And sometimes we'll have brokers that are good friends of ours that we've, not necessarily inside KW Commercial, but we have outside brokers that have been very good colleagues of ours, and we share information, and that's sometimes that we share the deals. So talking to your other outside brokers. And here's the one that we really need to be paying attention to today is our lenders. You need to get real cozy with some of your lenders. You need to jump into getting to know the community banks, your credit unions. Those are the ones that are going to be and regional banks. Those are going to be the ones that are going to be providing the best opportunities for you, because they are the most flexible of all of the lending institutions, other than doing some seller financing, which we'll get into here in a moment as well. Okay, next slide, please. Just working with sellers. Okay. Obstacles, timing, and solutions. Understanding why. I know we hear this all the time, but if you know why the seller is selling the property in particular, we're going to focus on three things today: seller, buyers, and tenants. Okay. Why the seller wants, needs, or must sell determines the strategies. An example, supposing somebody has a property and they own it free and clear. They are a perfect situation for a seller financing. If they have to move, they have to, within a certain period of time, maybe they want to do a 1031 exchange, maybe they don't want to do a 1031 exchange, but you must determine what the reasons are why. And it's not, and this leads me to another situation. A lot of times people will come in, or buyers will come in and they'll go, I'm not going to buy right now. The prices, the prices are, I know they're coming down, so I'm going to wait. Okay, that wait is a 4-letter word. So we've got ways to get around that one too. We're going to talk about some seller financing here in just a minute as well. creative financing, that's one of it. Off-market properties. This is something that we can look at listings, and there's all kinds of opportunity. There's listing services out there, beyond what we use with our monster, CoStar, and then we've got some of, RealNext, and we've got some of these others that we're listing our properties with. And those are really great, but the off-market properties are probably where you're going to find your best opportunities. And if you can make a match with on-market properties, that's great. But usually by the time they get to the market, there may be something that somebody else knows that you didn't know, and they might be able to move on it quicker. But your off-market properties, vacant properties, talk to property managers, see what they have to say. Talk about your developers, your builders, belong to your builders associations and your homeowners associations. They're not homeowners, home builders association. They're the ones that also know where the commercial development is going, and they can help you overcome some of these obstacles if you know what they are ahead of time, because they're solving them. Some people are solving them. So we need to find out who's solving these problems and what they are. Creative financing, again, this is, connect with your lenders, absolutely, your standard lenders, and work with them, your banks, your community, your credit unions, and work with them and find out, though, too, what their hotspots are. What are their ones that they're really focusing on. They're changing and they're shifting asset types right now, so that they're looking, whereas at one time they were looking at multifamily, now they're looking at industrial, or they were looking at this type of property, now they're looking at another. Talk to your lenders and find out from them who they're going to be lending to and what the criteria is, so that you know ahead of time, so that it'll help you identify something up front. Community lenders are much more flexible than your national, lending and bankers. So pay attention to those, get to know them, snuggle up to them, take them out to coffee, go to their office, and, sit down with them and talk to them about what's going on. Share opportunities together. Next slide, please. Creative financing. We can go into a lot of details on this one, but I'm just going to hit some of the top ones, and then we can delve into this at another time. And I go a lot more into some of these topics in the commercial mentorship program, the group program that I host for 6 months starting in May. But the seller motivation, why determines the strategies, what makes it beneficial for them to be buying or selling, and that will determine what kind of creative financing you can come up with. The seller is motivated, maybe you have a deal structure that you can do, whether it's seller financing or a first seller, mortgage take back and a sale lease back. All of these things are opportunities for us to be very creative today if the financing isn't available. And there are ways that are being done, and they're being done very well today. And I'm going to make a suggestion to you too. I mean, we don't have all the answers. We try to provide as much information and education as we can to all of our KW commercial and our KW folks. We don't have all the answers. Google queen I am. I love to Google. Go online and Google creative financing for commercial real estate. There are blogs. There are all kinds of articles. There's everything in there. It's free knowledge. And it gives you some really great ideas how to structure a deal. It gives you examples and ideas and techniques, and so that you can make an offer. That the letter of intent that you're writing is something that is going to be an attractive for both buyer and seller. We want to go into this with the end in mind, and that is a win-win-win. It's a win for the buyer, a win for the seller, and a win for you. And we can do that with some of this creative financing. And then you always have to know what their exit strategy is. If somebody's coming in and they're buying the property, you got to let them know this is a long-term deal. If you're coming into this and you want to be out in two or 3 years, maybe this is not the property for you. Go ugly early. Let them know. Give them it's their decision. You're not the client. Don't make that mistake. Some of us get really into these deals and transactions, and we try to be the buyer. We try to be the seller ourselves. We are the mediators. We are the in-between. We are the ones that are going to help facilitate these deals and transactions. We bring knowledge. We bring skills in negotiation. We have skill sets about identifying what the good terms are and what the not so good terms are in a deal and a transaction that can help both buyer and seller. And depending on which side you're on, you can take those trends and those the market data and the trends, and you can turn it into a sales tool for your purpose. Next slide, please. Oh, this is what, wouldn't you rather have your client say, I wish I had, or I'm glad I did, rather than I wish I had? How many of us have said that? Gosh, I wish I had bought that property back then. I had no idea. I thought about it, but no, I didn't have this or I didn't have that. I didn't have the money. I did it. Get creative with it. This is a time we need to be thinking about investing for ourselves. This is the market money is made. As difficult as it seems, with the interest rates going up and with the potential, that we have in the economy of things being a little dismal, I've been in the industry for 30 years. I've been through over three decades of ups and downs. We did business when interest rates were at 14%, and we did it well, and we survived, and we thrived. So, a 7 or 7.5% interest rate today, to me, looks normal. If you just came into the industry in the last couple of years, you have no idea, that we ever had something like that. But 14% was not uncommon. And to have, 3, 4, 5% was outrageous. And to have a 7% is fairly normal. The pace that we're now in commercial real estate is a normal pace. The interest rates that we have now is a normal pace. We just have to be a little bit more creative, because some of the expectations in our market between buyer and seller, investor and seller, and sometimes tenants and their landlords and the owners, there is a gap. So we have to educate and bring them as close together as possible. And if there is a chasm between those that cannot be surmounted, get out, get ugly early. One of the comments, prices may go down. I need to wait till the prices go down. Yeah, but the interest rates are going to go up. Now you can also switch that around if you're working with your sellers, and the sellers will say, I want to wait till the prices come back up again. The cycle is usually a 10-year cycle. And I'm sure you've seen Gary Keller draw this. I was going to draw it, but I'm a terrible artist. But it's the mountain peak and then the curve down into the valley, and then the mountain peak and the curve down to the valley. And the idea is you say to your prospect or client, say, okay, here's where we were at the top of the peak. Okay, this is where we were, a year ago or so ago. Now we're coming down on that peak. Now you tell me when we're going to hit bottom. And then you take your finger and you bring it back up, and they go, oh, right there. You say, okay, you can only see the bottom in hindsight. And you can only see the top in hindsight. You can never predict when it's going to be. So the gap between the highest market and the highest market is somewhere between 7 and 10.5 years, is what statistics tell us. So if the seller wants to wait, and they can wait for 7.5 to 10 years for the prices to get back up again, they're fine. But if they need to move, if they have to move, or they don't want to take that risk to ride this market down, let's ride this roller coaster all the way down, because every day you wait, the prices are dropping and the interest rates are going up. So how long do you want to wait? Good argument to beat their obstacles. Help the client solve a problem rather than just looking at the dollars. You've got a transaction that's going on. What is their problem? What is it they need? What are they trying to solve? Do they need to respond to their employees? Do they need, additional space for their factory? Do they have distribution where they need to be able to be closer to a transportation area or another highway? What is it that is requiring them to move? If you're looking at that and it can solve the problem, this is where you can kind of make that price value versus the value of what you're going to be getting if you take this move or if you sell this property. What can you do next? Focus on business needs, not needs analysis. Does that make sense? Okay. Next slide. Oh, go back one, please, Tris. Okay, forward, right. Opportunities for tenants in a shifting market. Now we're going to move over to a little bit on the tenant side. So how many of you, give me a yes or no, how many of you are in tenant buyer representation? Yes, 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 a lot of you. Almost everybody. Marginally, okay, yes, yes, okay. So just about everybody. So this is going to fit then, okay? So we do with buyers and sellers, and we do with our tenants and our landlords. Tenants can get, in this kind of a market, we're looking at different types of things. Sometimes it depends on the market, and it depends on the market, as I mean, in the market of economy and in the market of your territory. If you're looking at a market in your territory that is not doing well, naturally, you're not going to get, there's not going to be high prices. You're going to have more of negotiation abilities. So you could get a long-term lease with fixed prices. You could get, negotiate a reduction in the lease dollar, then you could blend and extend if you're already in a lease. And I'm sure you know what blend and extend means. That's always, a very viable situation, particularly a year and a half to 2 years out, and somebody that's going to be coming up due on their lease. Tenants can upgrade in this kind of a market. So, they could get some additional space or nicer space. They could go from a Class B to a Class A for about the same kind of money. So take a look at the opportunities that your tenants may have in this kind of a shifting market. Tenants may find landlords more flexible in helping them find a space that fits their needs because they're willing to negotiate. They're not having people bang down their door. And you notice I have a little office building in the background there. We know that's not the case with industrial, but we could find some opportunities in office and in retail. Current landlord not interested in negotiating with negotiating the term of your lease or the dollars or anything like that. Have them look at some other properties. I mean, having some competition for the current landlord that they have their lease with is always good for negotiations. And sometimes you may find somebody that really wants your client. If they're a really great client and they've been around for a while and they have the solidarity and they have that consistency in their business, they may very well be in a situation where they, will help them get out of that lease. Next slide, please. Now, there's two ways to look at this. Opportunities for tenants. Okay, as we know, market low, concessions are high. When there's not that high of a demand, there's going to be a lot of concessions. So some of the concessions that we've been looking for in a market is they'll provide moving costs. They'll give you more in build outs. They give you expansion opportunities in the lease, potential to remove personal liability. You can burn it down over a period of time when they see that you're paying your rent and that you have the success in the business. So those are things that are negotiable and opportunities. And when there's low demand in a market and there's higher concessions. Now you look at it on the other side, when there's high demand, we know it's low incentives. So you have to educate your clients and let them know you're not going to get the deal of the day here. You're not going to get the deal of the year here, because where they used to give free rent or reduced rent before, that's very limited now because they don't have to. TI allowances, maybe some, but not as much as they used to be, because now they're in high demand. Reduced lease escalations. That was be something you could negotiate those before too. Signage costs and parking options. All of those are things that used to have some flexibility in it. If or in a market there wasn't as high demand with some of like industrial and all of that. I'm sure you're finding that there's very, very little incentives in some of these markets. How many of you are finding that there's reduced incentives in the markets? Give me a yes or no. Reduced incentives in the markets. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Industrial, yes. Retail, no. Exactly. Yeah. So one of the things that just popped into my head too, some of the things we've got to get creative what we're looking at for the uses as well. We've got this, we've got opportunities when we first went into COVID that retail suffered tremendously. And what happened at that time too, then industrial just started escalating. And the distribution became escalated. Now some of the retailers have gone into distribution themselves. They've taken it out of the storefront. They've taken their product off the shelves. They've put it into distribution. They've put it online. Now they've got retail and industrial. So now you've got flex space, industrial space, distribution space, and you've got a retail that are combined together. That was not a market and an opportunity that we had before COVID. So there's creative ways to look at how these things are going to be playing together. Boy, do we have to work. I mean, you've got to be motivated today. You've got to be able to want to do this, and you've got to change. If you've been doing the same thing you've done before, we all know what that makes us, right? And it's not working. If it's working, that's great. But if it's not working, you're going to have to need to change something, and you're going to ask yourself, what is it that you need to change, or have your coach ask you what is it that you need to change, or have your coach you through that, because there are opportunities and things that we've been doing the same thing, the same way over and over again. It worked. It doesn't work today in the same way. So we've got to be able to morph and pivot and be chameleons and figure it out. Prioritize lead gen, prospecting, qualifying. I didn't put that in there. Oh my gosh. Qualifying your clients and your prospects before you take them on. Create a system based on discipline and accountability. Make that your own. Yes, you can have an accountability partner, but unless you are being accountable to yourself, it's not going to work. Did an amazing deal for a tenant because the landlord loan was maturing. Awesome. That's great. Again, time block and protect it. Make sure that you've got certain times, because we're going to be we tend to be very responsive now. As humans, we want to go solve the problem. Check my time here. We want to go solve the problem. And we would rather take it because we think that we are magicians, and we think that we can solve this problem. We've been in the industry long enough. We can do this. This is, I can handle this. This is just, whatever. Sometimes your gut instincts are going to tell you, don't do it. Guess what? Don't do it. I mean, I was in the industry 25 years, and I'm thinking, I can solve this problem. My gut instinct told me that it wasn't going to work. But I thought, no, I can do this. My ego ran in front of my business sense. And I tried and I got into it, and they didn't work. I only did it less than a handful of times. I listened to my gut instinct. When I haven't listened to it, I've regretted it. So take your life, your life talents, your skill sets that you've learned in living in life and experiencing life, and the business skills that you have, and use those and put that together with and that's called gut instinct. Intuition, gut instincts. And most of the time it's going to be right. Have an accountability partner, whether it's your coach, whether it's someone in your office, whether, you're part of a mentorship program or you have a mentor in your office. It's always great to have, necessary to have an accountability partner. All right. How many have an accountability partner? Yes or no? No, yes, nope, yes. Okay, of those that said no, how many of you are thinking about getting an accountability partner? Because you should. It can either be someone I do now. Okay, good. I used two, but looking for another one. Oh, that's good. That's good. So, and there's opportunities, get into this KW Commercial official forum that we have on Facebook. And if anybody told me I'd be referring anybody to Facebook, being in commercial real estate, I'd said they were out of their mind. But I'll tell you what, this commercial Facebook official forum that we have is awesome for information. And yes, you have a coach, Dale, and I have a mentor. Good. Have another agent that may be teaming up for it. Good. Excellent. It's not always easy to find a mentor. It's not always easy to find someone that can be an accountability partner with you. But if you don't have it and you need it, you can also take a look at this mentorship program, because it creates we created this specifically for the reason that many agents were asking for it, that they needed to have a mentor or a mentoring opportunity that they did not have in their offices or in their market centers, because either the director that they had was too busy, didn't want to be mentoring, they were trying to take too much of their money as a mentee, or that the mentor just didn't have time, inclination, or desire to be a mentor. So the director. So, all of those came into play. So we created this commercial mentorship program, which is something you need to look into if you're interested in having one. We launch again on May 31st, and it's a 6-month program once a week on Wednesdays at 11 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, okay, or 10 o'clock CT. So, and it goes over everything, documents, procedures, processes, systems. We talk about all kinds of negotiations, what you get into, how can you deal with certain aspects of the business. We talk about each of the different specialties. So it's something to look into and to sign up for if you're interested. It's $199 a month. It's like $50 a week for this kind of training and education. It's my program, but it's also been designed and approved by MAPS and KW Commercial. So we believe that this is a really great program for everybody. That we're going into our 4th series, so obviously it's working. I like that one, Richard. A mentor can help you mint money. That was good. I like that one. If you've enjoyed this webinar, we've got another one that's coming up May 25th. Put this one on your calendar. It will also, go back. May 25th on your calendar. It'll be in our training calendar as well for KW Commercial. And so put that it's 11 a.m. Central Time and 12 p.m. EDT. Okay, so, and this is called the 10 Techniques for Commercial Real Estate Marketing Success. It's really taking a lot of things from Shift Commercial, and from learning from a lot from what the residential agents have done on the social side of media and those kinds of things. So, take a look at the opportunities there. Also, if you are going to be signing up, thanks for their putting this up here. If you have the opportunity to sign up for commercial mentorship program and you're in this today, you'll get $100 off your first month. So it benefits you to sign up after this class so that you get that offer. And go back to the chat box, slide back up there, and I think it's called Web 100. When you sign up for it, you put Web 100, okay, for the commercial mentorship program. What you see here is a link that takes you to the commercial mentorship program information page. Sign on, a little short video, and it tells you about the program, what it is, 6 months, once a week, and all of the different details and information about it. I have people in it that have been in it just starting transitioning from residential into commercial. They're learning a lot. And then I have those that are seniors in the industry that are with us because they want to know what's available for their mentees and their juniors that are coming into the market. So we have great communication, great dialogue, great masterminds and exchanges because we have such a diverse group of people that are providing information, success stories, horror stories, how do they solve it, solutions, and those kinds of things. And I think we have about 40 minutes of education and about 15 to 20 minutes of the exchange and questions and answers, and everybody gets into the masterminding, and it's really, really an awesome. I think that's probably one of the best aspects of it too. Well, the training is good too. This is my contact information. The best way to reach me is to text me first at the phone number, 407-491-0005. If you've sent me an email, let me know that you sent me an email. Or if you want to talk by phone, let me know. Send me a text. Let me know when you're available, and we'll set up a schedule to be able to talk. So I want to thank you all for being on board today. We've got a couple of minutes, and I've hit you with a lot of one thing that I did want to mention too, and it is, do we have a link that we're going to put in the chat box, Tris? What are we going to do with the using good resources, preventing obstacles? Okay, we're either going to send this to you in a link. It's going to be in the chat box, I think. Okay, good. Got a couple new messages. Okay. Okay, if you've already registered for the commercial training, I don't want to penalize you on that. Send an email, send me an email, okay? And let me know that you have signed up for it earlier on, you've already registered, and I'll see what I can do to get that $100 discount for you, okay? Okay, I'm going to also send you, it's called Using Good Research Prevents Obstacles. If you find out what's going on with the property first and you can identify it, I mean, I love to have the red flags ahead of time. I love doing due diligence because if I know nobody can spring anything on me, they're not going to be able to surprise me and say, oh, by the way, I saw that blah, 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 or the zoning this, or the offsite's this, or the city isn't going to allow that, or, whatever it is, the road construction's going on, whatever it is that you know about it first. So do as much research as you can beforehand so that you're knowledgeable, either for your seller to prevent distractions when your buyer comes to the table. And also, oh, that's pretty cool. My thumb's up there. But also, it helps you in every other aspect too with your sellers as well. So I'm going to send this Using Good Research Prevents Obstacles, and it's talking about all the things that you can get ahead of time. I'm just going to run through this real quick. Deeds, mortgages, maps, surveys, legal activity, taxation records, building permits, condemnation orders, inspection, liens, vacancy rates, official measurements, permits, regulations. I mean, and the list goes on. So it's a really great list, and that'll be sent to you either in a link or as an attachment. I'm just going to go back through here. I'm going to go back through and look, see if there's any questions here. Where are you, in New Hampshire? Oh, that's great, Randy. Glad you're joining us. That's super. Is there any questions about what I've brought up so far? I know I gave you a lot of stuff. You will get the slide presentation, but if there's any questions, just shout it out. Oh, thank you for that, Ashley. I am your coach. Yes, I am. Okay. So we're going to put the link for the commercial mentorship program in the chat box. We're going to put the link for YouTube channel recording. Okay, that's good. the Maps YouTube channel. And what you're looking for if you're going for the mentorship program is Fast Track, and it will be the commercial mentorship group. And if you're looking for one-on-one coaching, that would be under Maps Coaching too. And what you would do is go into mapscoaching.com and click on agent. And then the agent has breakthrough coaching and mastery coaching. Breakthrough coaching is the criteria is 75,000 in GCI in a rolling year. And the mastery coaching is 150,000 GCI in a rolling year. The breakthrough is $450 a month. The mastery coaching is $1,000 a month. People that are the ones that are successful are in coaching. We have 7 coaches in KW Commercial. Each of us have our forte and our specialty. And so we would love to be able to chat with you to see which one of us would be a good opportunity for you. And of course, I would love to be able to coach any of you that you feel would be a match. So do we have any questions? I need to have at least one question to feel that I've been successful. I've got 55 of you.
Yeah, I got a question for you if you don't mind.
Please.
Okay, so I specialize in manufactured housing. I mainly deal with off-market properties, and I've been very successful in it. I did just shy of 100 million last year in buyer and seller representation.
Awesome.
And I want to keep it going. So I as far as a coach, is there a coach that you would recommend more along the lines of just a mentoring coach that's going to keep me accountable, or is there someone that's going to be more specialized in that field? Because I know that field is very, very
it's unique.
difficult.
It is.
It's unique.
Andrew, reach out to me offline, text me, and you and I will talk, and I can give you a couple answers to that.
That would be fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrew. Anyone else about today? Or any questions about coaching or the mentorship? It says, in all your years of commercial real estate, what would you say was the most important to do daily? Look for new business. I know it's called lead gen, whatever you want to call it, but and to have your day set out before you start out in the morning. Whatever it is that you're going to do, have your calendar set up and have it set out the night before. Don't wait till the morning to Monday morning or Tuesday morning or whatever morning that you're working, and have it set out that morning or that evening before, so that when you walk into the office, you know what your plan is. Because otherwise you're going to be responding. Try not to do email first. It will totally distract you from doing your business. And I know we want to be able to do it. There's no business deal or client that's going to die, or deal that's going to die or move away from you for 2 hours that you're not able to respond to them because you're looking for business. Building your pipeline is probably the most critical thing that you can do right now. Closing your deals are absolutely, but building your pipeline for the future of, because everything that you're doing right now is may close this year, or it may not. There's 3 levels of doing business: immediate gratification, 3 to 6 months; middle of the road business, which is 6 months to 9 months. Okay, which is, if anything we're doing right now, that would be following those 2. But we'd be lucky if it all closed. Most of the time, 6 months is the number. So right now we're working on deals that will be closing in the 4th quarter of 2023. Scary. Whatever you're working on now is what you're going to close before the end of the year. Or you've got to find immediate gratification. What immediate gratification seems to be today is existing buildings. If you're going for development and land, which was my love for 25 years, I was affectionately called the dirt diva. But that is why, it's really important for you to be able to focus on building your practice over a period of time. Some of my clients, we were really focused on finishing up 2022 to make it a really good year. didn't pay as much attention to 2023. So this year, now we're working on 2023 today and building their business, not only between now and the end of the year, but we're building their business between now and next year so that they're going into 2024 with a pipeline. Pipeline is key also. Starting your day off with intent, be purposeful, target, and work as a proactive agent rather than responding. The question you have to ask yourself, are you managing your business or is your business managing you? Clients that work with coaches double and triple their income, usually within a year to a year and a half to 2 years. So where are you, and when would you like to have triple or double your income in GCI? Even in this market, it works. So I've enjoyed very much today. For anybody that wants to reach out to me, what pipeline report do you use? I go into this extensively in the commercial mentorship program, but there is a book that I will recommend to you, and I love it. It's called Thrive. Blaine Strickland, okay? He was a very good friend of mine in Orlando. I didn't know about this until one of my clients told me, I've read this greatest book. It's only 100 pages. And it's called Thrive by Blaine somebody. And I said, Blaine Strickland? And they go, yeah. I said, oh my gosh, he was a colleague of mine in Orlando when I was doing business actively there in Orlando. And they have in here, it is called, in fact, you know what I'm going to do? It's called Building a Pipeline Report from Scratch in Microsoft Excel. And it gives you 6 steps to do it. Tris, if you don't have that document, I'm going to send that to you, and we're going to include that with this. Okay. So it talks about building your pipeline. You need to do it. It'll help you a lot to figure out where your priorities are. Only work on the deals that are 70% and above. Probability to close. That's where you need to be focusing. On the other, once you get those done, then you can start working on the others. All right, everybody, I'm over my time a little bit. I hope you've enjoyed this, and we'll be sending out all this information. So it's 3 things that I've got. I've got the Thrive excerpt. I've got the using good resource prevents obstacles, and this slide presentation. So you should be having that probably within the next 24 hours. Anything I can help you with, please reach out. You know where I am. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great, successful day. Go jump those hurdles. Get the job done. Okay, thanks, everybody.